In this tutorial, we'll be looking at the mathematical operators available to us when dealing with integer and float primitive data types within Python. These include add, subtract, multiply, and divide, as well as floor division, modulus, and exponentiation. We will also be going over the different assignment operators that we can use to assign different values to variables in a shorthand fashion. We'll start with Python arithmetic operators. Arithmetic operators are used with numeric values to perform common mathematical operations. This is code from our last tutorial. I'm just going to highlight that and delete that. Make sure our indentation is correct. We'll first assign an integer value to a variable and a float value to another variable. We'll then use arithmetic operators on these variables. So we'll create an integer var1 and set it equal to 10. Then we'll create a float var1 and set this equal to 14.5. We can use addition to add two numbers together. Adding an integer and a float together will return a float value. For this example, I'm just going to write an integer and a float within our print statement and use the arithmetic operator of add just to print out the value. $13.5 plus 2. I need to start a new command prompt, so in the search bar I'll type cmd, select command prompt, then change directory back into our project folder, copy full path, cd, paste the full path, and then I'll also have to save this. And now we're printing 15.5 in the form of a float value to the screen. Now we'll use our integer value. We'll print out our integer value plus a additional value that we assign, let's say 39. Save, rerun. Now we have 49. 10 plus 39, 49. And we'll add both of our variables together also. Integer var1 plus float var1. Save. 24.5. We can use subtraction to subtract one number from another. Subtracting a float from an integer or an integer from a float will return a float value. For this example, I'll print two integers. We'll say 40 minus 20. To return 20. We'll use our integer var1 and subtract, say 20 again, should give us a negative number. And also we'll subtract our variables from one another. Print, let's say we'll use our float first, float var1 minus integer var1, 4.5. We can multiply two numbers together, and again multiplying an integer with a float will return a float value. The arithmetic operator for multiplication is the asterisk. 40 times 20 800 . We'll multiply integer var1 again with the asterisk sign to 30. I'll just quickly hit CLS to clear the prompt. And again, use our two variables and multiply them together. Giving us a float. We have division. The arithmetic operator for division is the /. 40 divided by 20. Notice here we are returning a float value even though we divided two integer values. We will get to the floor division arithmetic operator in just a moment, so we can return a integer value. But for now, we'll just comment this out. Let's divide float var1 with 3, save. We get 4.833 recurring. And finally, we'll divide both of our variables. .68, 0.69. We also have the floor division operator, which will return the largest possible integer. The floor division arithmetic operator is symbolized by 2 // rather than just one for plain division. 30 floor division 10.5, so an integer and a float. Save, run. Now we have 2 in a float. We'll go back to our previous example we used up here of 40 floor operator 20. Save. And now we have what we had up here, returning a float value. We have just a regular integer. We'll use a floor division operator on our integer var1 variable and divide this by 3. we have another integer, but without the remainder in the form of a decimal point. I'll just quickly run this. Integer var1 divided by 3, which will give us a float with our remainder. And finally, we'll quickly print out integer var1, floor division, float var1. Now we're dividing 10 by 14.5, which will only give us a decimal number. So we'll just switch these. Float var1, floor division integer var1 to produce 1. We also have the Modulus Operator, which returns the remainder value when dividing a value by another. The Modulus Operator is expressed by the percentage sign. We'll use the Modulus Operator to divide 40 by 20. I'll just clear this. And as we have, as 40 divided by 20 is 2, that does not leave us with any remainder. But if we divided 50 by 20 with the Modulus Operator, would have a remainder of 10. We'll divide 50 with the regular division operator, and we have 2.5. We'll divide our float var1 with the Modulus Operator by 10, save, and our remainder is 4.5. And we can also return the remainder of our two variables. And let's reverse this. And finally, we have exponentiation, which raises one value to the power of another. The exponentiation operator is 2 asterisks side by side. we'll say 40 to the power of 20. And we return a very large integer value. Let's put 40 to the power of 2, 1600. We'll use our float value, float var 1 to the power of 3. And finally, int var 1 to the power of float var 1. Notice how we have an integer returned to us here when we run the 40 to the power of 2. So if the value can be expressed as an integer, then it will be, rather than when it must be expressed as a float. Chances are you'll be using arithmetic operators fairly often within your code. You don't have to be a master of them now. Just know that we have addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, floor division, modulus, and exponentation available to us. We'll leave arithmetic operators there. So I'll just highlight this and delete. And now we'll look at assignment operators, which are used to assign values to variables. We've already used one assignment operator a lot, which is the equal sign. Variable name is equal to, this is an assignment operator. We also have the add and assign operator, which will add the right side operand to the left side operand, and then assign to the left operand. So if we create a variable, we'll call this integer variable. And assign it the value of an integer, we'll say 4. And then we'll reassign the integer variable the value of whatever the integer variable currently contains plus another integer. That does sound confusing, but hopefully it'll all make sense soon. We'll use the assignment operator of plus equals, and then we'll say 5. What this is basically saying is we'll take the value of integer variable, which is 4, and then we'll add 5 to it. And then we'll store this value in integer variable as we are using this assignment operator. We'll print out integer variable. Now we have 9. Again, we are simply reassigning the value here, but we're also taking whatever the value holds, which is 4, adding 5 to it, and then storing the 9 value back in here to print out down here. If that's confusing, it just takes a little bit of practice. Likewise, we have the subtract and assign operator, which subtracts the right operand from the left operand and then assigns to the left operand. I'll just reassign integer variable to the value of 4. Then we'll use our subtract and assign operator. Negative sign equals sign. Again, we'll use the value of 5 and then print. So we're taking our value here, which is 4. We are then subtracting 5 using our subtract and assign operator. And then we are taking our -1 and assigning that value to integer variable and then printing. We can use a multiply and assign operator, which will multiply the right operand with the left operand and then assign the left operand the value. Integer variable is equal to 4. Integer variable multiply and assign the value of 5 and print integer variable, which gives us 20. So we're taking this value 4, we're timesing it by 5, which gives us 20, and then we're assigning the value to our previously established variable. We've got divide. We've got divide and assign. Divides the left operand with right operand and then assigns the value to the left operand. Integer variable, divide and assign 5, print integer variable, take the contents of this variable, which is 4, divide it by 5, assign the value back to the integer variable, and then print integer variable. We have modulus and assign. Takes a modulus using left and right operands and assigns the result to the left operand. I'll just reverse these numbers quickly. Save. So we have the value of 5 divided by 4, which will give the remainder of 1, and then we'll assign that value to the integer variable to print out. And we have the floor, divide, and assign. Integer variable will be set to 4. We'll use the floor and assign operator by using 2 forward slashes, then the equals sign, and then we'll say 5, and then print out our integer variable, which will give us 0. We'll switch these again. Now we're receiving 1, as it will return a integer rather than a float. And finally, we have the exponent and assign operator, which will calculate the exponent with the right operand and then assign the value to the left operand. Integer variable, exponent, 2 asterisks and an equal sign, the power of 5, and then print. $1,024. So again, just to clarify, we're taking the value that's already contained in this, we're raising this value to the power of 5, and then we're putting the calculated value into this previously established variable. The takeaways from this lesson should be an understanding of what arithmetic operators are available to us in Python, as well as some of the other assignment operators available to us rather than just the equals assignment operator. You don't need to memorize them all, but just remember that you can refer back to this knowledge when you require them in your coding. In the next tutorial, we'll be covering more operators, specifically comparison, logical, and identity operators.